This is PRIME7 Local News.
Tonight, the minimum wage lifted, but can small business afford to pay more? The beachside road that could disintegrate if nothing is done by council.
I'm Kirsty Fitzpatrick. Later this news hour, the dire warning about our cost of living and the narrow escape as a 10-tonne concrete truck slams into a home.
Now, PRIME7 Local News.
Good evening. A quarter of Australia's workforce is breathing a sigh of relief tonight after the Fair Work Commission announced an increase to the minimum wage of 5.2%. While the state's peak business group says it'll put pressure on small businesses, the decision is broadly welcomed by the local community.
For cafe workers like Sambiso Pina, news of the $40 a week pay rise couldn't have come at a better time.
I mean, it's pretty awesome seeing as the prices have increased and everything, and fuel is ridiculous.
The 4.6% increase in the modern award wage and 5.2% increase to the national minimum wage will be rolled out to various sectors from the 1st of July. The increase is lower than the 5.5% lobbied for by unions, but still well received.
We think it's going to make a significant difference to the pressures that low-paid workers are under with cost of living rising.
Business New South Wales called for the wage rise to be capped at 3%. Owners concerned the wage rise comes at a time when the cost of doing business is already high. But retail and hospitality business owner Donna Carrier says that given the high rate of inflation, the increase is what she expected and businesses will adapt.
It's been really difficult for families and the cost of living's increased so much. It's made it difficult for businesses as well, but if people have no money, then they can't spend it.
A sentiment echoed by the Fair Work Commission in handing down its finding. The Commission confident the strength of the labour market will buffer any negative effects.
The adjustments we propose to make will not have a significant adverse effect on the performance and competitiveness of the national economy.
The Commission has taken into account the pressure on some sectors with the pay rise to commence in the tourism, hospitality and aviation sectors from October 1 rather than July 1 for other awards.
Catherine Fernie joins us now live from Tyree. Kath, was the wage increase higher than expected?
Well, Maddie, it seems that business groups were calling for a 3% pay rise while unions were asking for 5.5%. So it looks like perhaps predicted inflation may be playing a role. In handing down the Fair Work Commission's findings, President Ian Ross said the low paid were particularly vulnerable in the context of rising inflation.
The increased cost of non-discretionary items will particularly impact low-income households and many low-paid workers.
Headline inflation is expected to peak at 6% later this year.
Thanks for the update, Catherine Fernie reporting there live from Taree. Long-term residents of Lake Cat Eye are screaming out for change, insisting the Illaroo foreshore will be ruined by erosion unless council does something to prevent it. The council says an investigation proved nothing should be done, but locals disagree.
It should be one of the most idyllic outlooks in the Hastings. Instead, Illaroo Road boasts safety mesh, no access signs, a closed community lookout and some very frustrated locals.
They've got to do something about the ocean coming in and eroding the foreshore.
Many years we've been waiting and they're really upset about it.
Long-term residents estimate a loss of more than 10 metres of the foreshore, but council deliberation on a solution has been ongoing for more than a decade.
Councillors recently made a decision to revisit the plans for the mitigation of this erosion, but residents say they've waited long enough, that they need an answer and they need it now.
Complete frustration. I mean, this problem's been occurring now for the last 15 years. We have a solution to it, but council don't seem to want to do anything about it and are happy to start the whole process all over again.
As part of a lengthy statement sent to PRIME7 News today, Port Macquarie Hastings Council included the following information. The council is in the middle of a co-design process working with community members, and that a geotechnical investigation from April found that emergency works are not justified at this time. But residents are watching the foreshore disappear and they disagree.
It seems like we're starting the process all over again from the council's perspective, which I think is ridiculous.
Today, member for Port Macquarie Leslie Williams has also taken aim at council, insisting it should be applying for state government funding.
We have a solution to this. We've adopted a coastal zone management plan many years ago. What we're imploring council is to get on and let's progress with that plan.
Samantha Crowe, PRIME7 News.
Well, Samantha Crowe joins us live now from Port Macquarie. And Sam, some huge tides tonight could have further impacts for erosion and may even cause some localised flooding as well.
That's right, Maddie. Abnormally large tides are expected to affect the New South Wales north coast between 9:30 and 10:30 this evening. Emergency services have warned residents not to panic, but that there could be some flooding, particularly in low-lying areas. All of the initial flood watches which have been issued are listed in specifics on the SES website.
Thanks for the update, Sam. Samantha Crowe there live for us tonight from Port Macquarie. Now it's time for a check of the weather with Phoebe Dees. And Phoebe, lovely to see the sunshine out today.
Yeah, it was. Hi, Maddie, and good evening to everyone. We had some lovely sunshine, of course, for the middle of the working week. Our top temperatures are getting back to average for this month as well, with our overnights thankfully warming up. Coffs Harbour getting to a top of 23 degrees there. And light winds were around for most parts of the day, but gusts on the mid-coast did get up to around 25 kilometres an hour on the mid-coast before easing off from midday. We did have a hazardous surf warning in place for today, which is expected to continue into tomorrow. But of course, we have more sunshine as we edge very close to Friday. I'll have the full forecast soon though, Maddie.
Thanks, Phoebe. See you in a few minutes. Rex Airlines has announced more flights between Coffs Harbour and Sydney just 2 weeks after cancelling services to Lismore, Grafton and Ballina. The airline saying it couldn't support marginal routes but will add extra flights where it deems necessary.
Rex Airlines is bringing Independence Day to the Coffs Coast, substantially boosting its weekday services on the 4th of July.
We've got flights every 2.5 to 3 hours.
Increasing the number of Sydney return flights from 3 to 5. Improved early morning frequency on board the 34-seat aircraft, targeting business people and health professionals.
What we're looking to add is a early morning service from Sydney to Coffs Harbour, which departs each weekday morning at 6:50am and arrives into Coffs Harbour at 8:15.
The airline is hoping the new flight schedule will stimulate travel right across the network, offering better connections with Rex flights out of Sydney to Melbourne, Brisbane and the Gold Coast.
And their flights are pretty full coming to Coffs Harbour and vice versa, so they've certainly got the demand there.
The airline announced a suspension of their flights to Ballina, Grafton and Lismore at the end of May. The high cost of fuel and increased competition has prompted a major shift away from less profitable destinations.
We can no longer continue to support marginal routes with thin passenger numbers.
As a sweetener, Rex is offering travellers cut-price deals for late bookings until the end of November.
Within the last 24 hours, if there are any seats remaining on board the aircraft, all of those will go at $129.
And in another welcome announcement, masks will no longer be mandatory from midnight on Friday. Good news for both passengers and staff.
It's another thing to monitor, and people need to remember to bring their masks. I mean, I believe you'll still be required to wear a mask on the flight, but you can see that it's certainly heading in the right direction.
Liz Penny, PRIME7 News.
The death of a Coffs Harbour man in custody has provoked fresh conversation around transparency and accountability into privately owned prisons. The 29-year-old was found unresponsive in the medical centre of Clarence Correctional Centre. It's the second death at the facility in 6 weeks. Parliamentary concerns have been raised about the deaths in custody and also over reports of staff shortages.
Many positions in that facility that were vacant and not filled. So there are questions around the management of the facility and, of course, now a significant cloud.
The death has been referred to the coroner. New healthcare data points the finger at COVID for surging wait times at hospital emergency departments. But the Community Health Action Group insists there's a lot more than just a pandemic to blame.
It's a snapshot of an unprecedented period. The Bureau of Health's quarterly report showing longer waiting times for urgent medical care have been reported across New South Wales. Ambulance ramping at Manning Base Hospital, like these scenes today, have continued for months. The Hunter New England Health District under pressure from the Omicron COVID-19 outbreak.
You've got 5 or 6 ambulances outside the emergency department with patients in, the emergency department full, and unable to get those patients to the ward because all the ward beds are full.
The Manning Great Lakes Health Action Group president blaming a shortage of beds and hospital staff for the current situation.
COVID has been a huge impact on our hospital. The staff have done a fantastic job, but we can't blame COVID for everything.
More than $4 billion has been injected into the New South Wales health system by the state government to help manage the impacts of COVID. But the Health Action Group insists Manning Base Hospital isn't receiving its fair share.
The Australian standard for our hospital for 94,000 people is 250 beds. We'd be lucky to have 130.
A planned urgent care centre at Foster is tipped to ease the pressure on Manning Base Hospital by up to 4,000 patients a year. But Mr Wood says more political will is needed to fill the healthcare gaps in the Manning Great Lakes region.
This has always been a politically safe area, and nobody's been fighting for us.
Catherine Fernie, PRIME7 News.
Coraki firefighters have recounted the sleepless nights when their station became a hub and resting area during the floods. The building was renovated just weeks before the natural disaster. They believe the upgrade saved lives.
A day to remember. Coraki firefighters celebrate the official opening of their fire station, a building that acted as shelter and a community hub during the floods.
The Monday morning when town started flooding, we evacuated to the fire station, so myself, my partner and 4 children.
While Russell O'Keefe worked non-stop, his family slept in the newly renovated station gym for the first 6 days.
First 3 nights going to sleep after midnight, waking up around 6 a.m. on the floor and kept going.
Swearing with his colleagues that as long as the calls kept coming in, they would continue to help. Believing that if the station wasn't renovated in time, there would have been serious issues.
Basic things like boiling water and cold water would have been impossible to have in the old station.
The $975,000 upgrade includes a new dual-engine bay, training spaces and renovated bathrooms. But it was the addition of gym equipment that inadvertently saved residents.
One of our local firefighters said about a month before the floods just to increase his fitness on a rowing machine, and lo and behold, a month later he saved up to 50 people in a rowboat.
When the floods hit, water rose quickly through the neighbourhoods of Coraki, cutting off the town from the outside world and causing 350 residents to seek refuge around the fire station.
Coraki was a strategic investment. We knew that the community, if isolated, really had to stand on their own 2 feet.
Sam Payne, PRIME7 News.
Still to come in PRIME7 local news, government bodies are grilled in the flood inquiry and the new gambling support to fix a regional epidemic.
And later this news hour, inflation forecasters saw the Reserve Bank's dire warning for a cost of living reality check. What's being done to keep your lights on? More on the electricity drama. A driver injured after smashing a concrete mixer into his house. And the big changes coming to Instagram, giving parents more power.
Government bodies have been grilled in state parliament today. Members of Resilience New South Wales, along with the SES and Rural Fire Service, were asked questions on flood management during the disaster. Outgoing Liberal member Catherine Cusack questioned Head of Resilience New South Wales, Shane Fitzsimmons, on how the government could say its communication system was successful.
Nobody seemed to be focused on the fact that the victims and the community didn't have any access to that, so there were no communications for them. Bit like a restaurant where all the staff talk to each other, but no one takes the orders from the customers.
That doesn't make sense to me, ma'am.
The committee will submit its recommendations to the government in August. 11 people died in the disaster. Gambling addictions are costing Australians billions of dollars. A program to educate and support people is being launched across regional New South Wales with a focus on those most at risk.
bright, colourful lights and flashing dollar signs. It seems like fun until it becomes an addiction.
I had no friends. I spent all my time playing poker machines.
Helen says she knew it was more than just having a little fun when she considered remortgaging her home.
The turning point was lying to my church group about where I was one night, and it's really left me with a guilt trip.
Helen isn't alone. Australians lost $25 billion on legal forms of gambling in just 1 year, according to government figures.
In the last few months, our referral numbers have increased by 4 times.
Centrecare is one of 10 providers across New South Wales who are stepping up to participate in the Gamble Aware website and program delivery.
Are you gambling with your career?
People can self-refer, they can be referred by any other services, GPs, even, a family or friend can refer someone to us.
The state government has commenced a 3-month targeted ad campaign to promote education, support and treatment.
Are you gambling with your relationship?
What's really important is to have that information in front of people, that they can have that trigger to go, actually, is that me that I can see in that ad? Maybe I need to change my behaviour.
The face and location of gambling addiction has changed. Support services say young men who gamble online and using mobile apps are particularly at risk.
In particular, around sports betting.
Get control of your life again. It's so easy, it's a phone call away.
Tony Abragetti, PRIME7 News.
Still to come in PRIME7 local news, junior soccer stars hit the pitch and youngsters show their skills on a momentous day for Women's Rugby League. Some of the region's best young rugby league players have shown how strong they are. It was a special day for the girls who had a spring in their step after hearing the NRLW will expand to 10 teams next season.
A fitting welcome for the region's female junior rugby league players back on the paddock again after a run of COVID cancellations and soggy conditions.
It's been 2019 since we last had all the girls together, so it's great to have them all involved, especially for the ones who do play and also for the ones that are new to the game.
The girls chomping at the bit to get back into competition.
I haven't played for about 2 years and it just felt amazing to be back out there. I really loved it and I know all the girls did, and we're excited to go on and play again.
It's the same day the NRLW announces an expansion to 10 teams next season. On the Mid-North Coast at the junior level, teams from across the Hastings, Manning and Macleay valleys were today vying for a place at the Northern Zone finals.
Best points for each division move on to the next round in Coffs Harbour on the 26th of July.
In the end, it was St Paul's in Kempsey taking out the under-18s, MacKillop in Port Macquarie securing the win for under-14s and under-16s after some competitive technique on the paddock.
Passing the ball and not doing such long passes and short passes so it doesn't, fly away. Work hard and have good defence, keep it all up.
Samantha Crowe, PRIME7 News.
North Coast independent schools were back on the field after their postponed trial competition in Coffs Harbour. Emmanuel College impressed in their game against Bishop Druitt College in the under-16 boys, while the BDC under-15 girls found success for their school. The NCIS are determined to avoid any further delays after wet weather postponed several events.
We haven't cancelled anything except for surfing this year. We've just lots of rescheduling, and so kids have just extended their training sessions and haven't missed out really.
The competition was intended as a selection trial for the state championships back in March, but continued rain prevented the tournament from going ahead. Stay with us here on PRIME7 Local News. Phoebe Dees is back next with your weather forecast.
Welcome back. We have a high pressure system that's keeping our skies mostly fine and dry in our north for the rest of the working week. A trough to the south of the state, though, is expected to bring showers for the next few days before another high pressure system will sweep over the state into the weekend to clear things up a bit. Onshore winds are expected to drive rain back onto our coastal fringe over the weekend though. Now the bulk of the rain is centred in our southern districts at the moment. For us on the coast, 10 or 12 millimetres is expected. A few more mil could fall for our inland centres across the state as well. Tomorrow we've got some more sunny skies with our overnights on the climb again. They're sitting around our June average. Nambucca heads 5 degrees there, getting to a top of 21 degrees. For us on the mid Pacific coast, we could feel some stronger winds with gusts expected to get up to 25 kilometres an hour. They should ease off in the afternoon. At this stage, it's looking like another rough day on the water with a hazardous surf warning in place right up and down our coast. Swell is around 6 to 9 feet at the moment and seas at about 1 to 1.5 metres. We've got sunshine to end our working week. Our night and day temperatures are sitting pretty much on our June average. We'll also see some light winds about Casino getting to a top of 23. And on Saturday, we'll start to see the weather turning with the possibility of 1 or 2 millimetres of rain across the region. Our temperatures there are staying pretty consistent though, sitting on average. So we do have a few more days of sunshine before we'll possibly see some showers set in for the weekend. But let's enjoy the sunshine first, Maddie.
Yeah, we'll make the most of those clear sunny skies. Thanks, Phoebe. See you later. And that's all we have time for tonight. Thanks for watching. You can join the debate on our Facebook page and you can catch up on our website or, of course, 7plus. Right now, though, Kirsty is in with your national news.